Welcome to the Five Hole Fantasy Hockey Podcast, and welcome back for those of you who were just on Sid Star Saturday. We're your host, Jay and Alan. Well, fancy seeing you again, Patrick. We're your hosts, still your hosts, Jay and Alan. Here with a slightly special show. This is the playoff primer. I don't know if it's a little too early, maybe not. I know we're starting to get quite a few questions from you guys on prepping for playoffs, especially trades where I'm like, oh no, don't do that. That's a trap. But yeah, we just thought I'd put this out now. Hopefully some of it ages better than other parts, depending on what teams do over the next couple months. But before we get going, this is going to cover the formats of weeks 21 to 23. And then 22 to 24 with that double week final. Those are the most common weeks. If you have any other formats, be happy to chat with you privately and figure stuff out with you. So we're not covering like 15 different formats. We're going to go over teams and players, kind of we're targeting in trades, pickups, strategies, and then strategies, kind of meta strategies, kind of depending on your position. And then in the description, just so you're not fumbling around. I know I don't do it normally. Maybe I should, but I'll try to put timestamps on things so that it's easier to go back to certain parts of the episode. Because I know sometimes, we do get a little long-winded. So it's easier to find certain sections of this episode to go back if you want to listen to something specific. We'll start with kind of the meta strategies here. So this is kind of depending on where you are in your league, kind of how you want to approach things. So I'd say if you are top of table, first, second, you got that bye, or you're pretty sure you're locked in, you're again, top of table, top of your league. Yep. So I would say take stock of where you're at. So this is, I refer to it as go ahead and Pepe Silva your lineups. Like, go ahead, go fast forward to your playoff weeks, and just you hit start. Like, see where you're at. Like, see who you would play those weeks. Even if you like, so I even go as far as like I write out a chart and say like, all right, it's like here are the positions. Here's my roster. Who would I be benching? Here's the positions I need. If the playoffs started today, what are my deficiencies? Like what would I be streaming? What's something I could trade for? Who is expendable? Like, who's that one person, if the playoffs started, that I would be benching consistently? That is, maybe that's your streaming spot. Maybe that's your tradable. And then from here, I would say you're looking to maximize your games, but don't tinker so much, which is hard for me to advise for myself, that you either lose your buy or you play yourself. You want to increase your floor, reduce risk. I even did that once to myself one year. Like, I was so convinced I had this buy. I think I just either traded too much or just tinkered with the lineup too much. I ended up losing the buy, had to play that first week and lost. But that was also the season that COVID shut everything down. So I didn't have to like sit and watch the rest of the season play out for too long. Right. And this is for trade partners. Target the teams on the bubble. Like, this is, sell them the players that like would help them maximize their games kind of to make the playoffs, but in the long run help you focus on selling the players to help them win now, to make the playoffs, that give you the juice to win the playoffs, basically.
I think that incentive piece you mentioned, needs to be doubled down on. I think there's a leaning, obviously, to say, oh, these are professionals and they'll play anyway, for sure. I would just simply say that these are still people, which means that you need to know underlying purposes, incentives that might not reflect out immediately. So I remember There were like random niche scenarios, Alan, where I remember if both teams, at one point there was like a league where both teams would have needed the extra point in order to make the playoffs. And so if you looked at the goalies at that time, it was actually horrendous in terms of like their existent goals against averages, stats, everything about it pointed to this game being an absolute barn burner, like a 7-5 game. I think the game finished like 2-1 or something. You know what I mean? It was
of course
overtime because both teams ended up playing like, hey, like I don't want to lose this game. So in that game, imagine if you had gotten a goalie. That would have been incredible. If you had instead grabbed, and burned an ad to say, oh, this hot guy is going to be scoring a ton. Dude, he might be just chipping the puck in like 10 seconds off the clock to have a safe shift and get off the ice. And that would have been the whole game script and game state. So follow and know your own team, follow and know your own players, understand what incentives they are working toward. And especially when it comes to games near the end of the season, especially in games where it's your playoffs, but it might not be their playoffs, that's things that you should be looking toward.
Yeah. And then if you're middle of the pack or you're a bubble team, like you're trying to push, this might be the time where you jettison those like season long over or not over, but under/non-performers. You know who they are. Like it's I can't think of anyone this season off the top of my head, but just those guys who have been just dead weight that like you're like, God, what do I do with this guy? Like, I swear, like he's supposed to turn it on any day now. Like analytics say he should be like a 90, 100-point guy, and he's just not doing anything. Maybe this is just where you just drop him. He's someone else's problem. Like Carter Verhaeghe for big stretches of the season.
Right. The other one I was looking at names too is there are guys where they will be more famous than they are useful on your team. The one that I think about is like Mike Matheson, for example. He is very name recognized. He is very like he was the man, the face of the decor for Montreal for so long. And in one season, an upstart prospect and a trade, this man has become third in terms of the pecking order from the previous unrivaled top dog. He's still held 44% ownership, right? Like he doesn't get power play 1. He doesn't even get power play 2. He has 44% rostership still. I don't know if this is because Habs fans just like owning him, which is possible, which I also do, right? Like I have homerism bias. But when it comes to
like someone just asked us, like it could just be he does like just enough where in some leagues that alone is worth. And those D-men do exist, like an Adam, like I keep using him as an example, like an Adam Larson.
Yeah. But I would just say like in terms of threshold markers for individuals who are considerable in terms of being dropped and then replaced with a guy that could bolster your playoff lineup, these are the kinds of names where if you are 50-50 on a name being dropped or not dropped, these should be additionally considered. You might have held them on or held on to them for the entirety of the season, but maybe no longer.
Yeah. And then I'd say if you're in the middle of the pack, like maybe again, don't like tinker yourself out of a playoff spot, but maybe focus on fixing a glaring hole. Like if you're like maybe you punted D and then now you're kind of like, man, I wish I had like a better D, like trade for one, but I would say don't mortgage like what got you to where you're at to get that D. Like don't try to trade for a Makar. Like don't maybe, Alan,
I was going to follow up and say this too. How do you feel about giving up value in terms of immediate trade value that bolsters your lineup? So to give an example,
I was going to say, what's an example? Yeah.
Let's say I have very strong goalies. And I think it was actually one of the listeners that reached out to me. Let's say you have 4 goalies. They are all incredible value. Would you trade, let's say, a Dustin Wolf if you were to get, for example, immediately a Dustin Wolf was like really, really good. I think he's like top 5.
Yeah. He won't get you the wins, but I mean, he has some really good rate stats.
Right. So let's say a Dustin Wolf, he's getting targeted by another manager, but you're only getting in response, like in terms of, I guess, an offer the other way. Let's say Trevor Zegras, you know what I mean? Like it's clear that if you're saying top winger
I wonder
versus
if I got.
top
I
goalie.
wonder if I got that question too.
You know what I mean? Like, because you're you're nowhere near getting a top 5 winger on the other side. However, he probably is still better than, he's still rosterable in terms of your wingers. You would bolster your wingership and you won't have any goalies because you have 4 goalies. You know what I mean? You're not going to play all of them anyway.
Right. And then to me, what I told him was kind of like worst case, if like Zegras doesn't work out, like you've now opened up a streamer spot down the road, which sometimes is worth its own weight in gold. Yes. Yeah, and it's just, it sucks to lose Wolf for like almost nothing, but it's just like you could hold on to him too much, and gambler's fallacy, sunk cost fallacy. There we go. Sunk cost fallacy, and you don't let go of him when you should.
It's like that. What was it, Alan? This is a really obscure evolutionary example, but basically, like, there are monkeys where the entire trap is just they can stick their hand in the trap and they can grab, I guess, whatever fruit or whatever it is that traps them, and they refuse to let go, and then eventually they're just trapped there. And I'm like,
and all they have to do is let go.
You just let go. Just let go, and you can get out, and it's all good, and you won't die, and it'll still be great. But if you don't let go, you can end up sunk there and miss the playoffs or lose in that round.
But yeah, and then I would say a fringe team, a nice piece of advice here. You may need to be the one that moves quickly when like a deployment change happens. You could catch lightning in a bottle. Like you might be the one to catch the next Darren Radish.
Darren Radish is the first one.
Like the example I'm probably going to use the rest of the season, man.
Natchez, I think the previous season was a great example as well. Natchez was fantastic.
I feel like a lot of people me included, like I drafted Natchez pretty late. But I feel like there's guys,
I thought Natchez was picked up last season though. Like last season. I mean, not this season, like last season, the season prior, he was a waiver wire pickup, played amazingly to start. I think he started on the
If he was on your wire, there you go. That was freaking lightning in a bottle you just caught. But yeah, look for the guys like that. Like you could pick up probably he's center only, but like someone like Oliver Kapanen, like where that second line in Montreal is like just on fire. And this reference may age like milk. But yeah, this is where, and I don't know if you want to, you don't use up all your ads chasing like every single deployment thing, like the Colorado power play. Like don't chase like every new guy that pops in there. But yeah, just like watch for those deployments, like an injury happen, especially a long-term injury. But this could be what makes or breaks you into making playoffs, is you catch that person who just to the moon, and that's what gets you into the playoffs. So watch for those. And then this will probably be one of the shorter sections. So bottom out of contention in a redraft league. Come on, like don't be that guy. Like you can certainly play on like and try to be spoiler for people. Sure, if you have that like competitive spirit, but don't be that guy and do anything to like ruin the integrity of the league. Like don't like drop like Kucherov and or trade him to someone who is clearly like top of the, especially in money league. Come on, man. It's like don't be that guy. But like in a keeper dynasty, this is where like to me, I had just as much fun the years in like the long-term keeper I played in and from like a bunch of people with Reddit. This was just as much fun to me as like winning or being at the top of the table. Like figure out who your keepers are, like your core, your new core, and then just fire sale everyone, man. Like that was just as much fun to me as, like actually being in the playoffs.
Yeah, the hope honestly is just as fun as like the hope of I guess a better new season is just as fun as like I guess playing the actual season and being in competition. I would say too, the only one this is kind of, there's no right or wrong, and I've been on both sides of this one. There is an unspoken etiquette, I guess, for managers who have been eliminated not to use ads that, I guess, to add players that are in contention or whatever, so that you can leave those players for, I guess, the championship contenders. I don't know where you stand on that one, Alan.
I would say once playoffs start, like if you're completely out of contention, like a consolation round is one thing, but like if you're bottom of, like if you're, I don't know, if you play in a league where there is no incentive to play that consolation bracket, or if you're in that like 7 to 10 in a 10-man league and you're just out of it, like don't touch anything. Like don't be that guy. But of course, I guess if you're in that position, you're probably not listening to this episode. So we're talking in the wind. But yeah, come on guys, come on. Like I read enough of those stories on Reddit like all the time. It's just like, don't be that guy. But yeah, other stuff. I would say, yeah, in a redraft league, if it comes down to the wire, like quarters, semis, whatever, if it's just like, let's say, especially in the finals, let's say this is just pie in the sky example. So let's say, Colorado, they play Monday, Wednesday, and then they play no more games that week. So in a redraft league, yeah, Nathan McKinnon into the sun, like Natchez into the sun. Like, because there's your streamer spots. Like in a redraft league, there's no point hanging on the guys like that. 100%. Or if you're down, man, and it's like, again, like those good players have played all their games and it's like Wednesday, Thursday, into the sun. Like, so what if you lose and so what? Like Pasta, Kucherov, whatever, those guys are on the wire. That's not your problem. Like that is a problem for whoever continues on. And then if you make it to next week, then that's a problem for future you.
Completely agree with you.
No one is too good not to drop if you make it another day.
Agreed.
Anything else, Jay, before we move on here?
No, let's roll.
Cool. All right, so 17:30. Okay. So we got some things I want to include here. So this is not directly playoff related, but things to consider as you're making trades kind of leading up to the playoffs here. So I couldn't find some of this stuff. Some of it I've retweeted, but yes, Dom of The Athletic released a kind of a remaining strength of schedule. So this is from Christmas Eve. So rest of the season, Vegas has, quote, the easiest remaining schedule. Detroit has the most difficult. If you look through our retweets, you might be able to find it. I'm pretty sure this was the one I retweeted. The other one I did not. So I kind of had to make my own. So for weeks 21 and 23, the Rangers kind of have that like, quote, best playoff schedule. Their schedule is in the middle as far as difficulty. So keep that. This is something you may want to keep in mind. I know some people are really into that. Some people not. So, and this was the one I couldn't find again, regardless of how far I tried. So I just went into Dauber Frozen Tools. I checked the remaining home and away games, and I went from January 12th all the way up to April 16th, last day of the season. So Florida has just, I think it was the most away games coming up. And then Vancouver has the most home games coming up. I think it looked a little different when the chart was initially posted. I think it was like what the Leafs had like some of the most away games coming up, right, Jay? Mm-hmm. I think was what we talked about. So this is something that can impact like your fantasy strength. Because I think we talked about sort of the first half of the season, Edmonton just getting pummeled first half of the season, and it turned out they were playing a ton of away games. So something, and now, so rest of the season, Edmonton, I think, had one of the better home game schedules. So this is something again, some people use as a factor. I think Matty K was someone who talked about it when he was with us. But yeah, something that's very easy to pull should you want to find that. But yeah, so another factor here, next couple months, going to get murky as far as like if you try to make some of these trades now. Olympics really don't help us. So week 18. So this is normally, I'm used to like fantasy seasons going into like week 26-ish. So this season is only 24 weeks. So week 18, I say in quotes, is February 2nd to March 1st. And it's turns out to roughly about a double week. So that's the Olympics. So the NHL, there is an NHL roster freeze February 4th. Hopefully we see a little bit of trade action before then. The default fantasy trade deadline is February 25th. You might want to check your league settings. I know in the long-term keeper I played in, I thought it was fun to try to make the league trade deadline the same as the NHL trade deadline. So it's just like, oh man, this dude got traded to this team, like, and there could be a bidding war for like that player.
Right.
Try to make it exciting. I don't think anything ever came of that, but I thought it was cool to do. So yeah, check your league settings. But yeah, that would fall right into where games resume again. So it sucks because the real NHL trade deadline is March 6th. So it's going to be hard to try and, say you want to trade for, I don't know, your playoffs are weeks 21 to 23, and you want to make a trade for, I don't know, Adam Fox, who's on IR right now. And some people try to scream collusion. Adam Fox probably not going anywhere, but it's who knows what some of these teams are going to look like. Again, the standings just so compressed, especially in like the Metro, Eastern Conference in general, just kind of crazy.
And
Sorry.
And I would say too, like that example was fantastic, Alan, where I would say truthfully, there's one quote about trading, I think it was like for fantasy football. It was called Upside Wins Championships. And football has the idea where you only play one game that entire game week. So the upside is if you have one huge outsized performer in any position, you can win your championship. The same concept can cross into fantasy hockey, but one huge caveat that people need to factor in is that the upside is outplaying your opponent in terms of number of total games. If you can outplay and have 25% more games than your opponent, you almost always win the championship simply by outplaying in sheer volume your other team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's me outplaying in the sense that I grab a whole bunch of French fourth liners. Yeah, they combine, they get the same number of minutes you get. But if you actually traded and snagged, like, yeah, Alan, using your example of Adam Fox, that week is not just, oh yeah, the Rangers play a lot of games. That week is also a week in which I think the Rangers are the only team that play like 4 games or something. Like, it's a crazy skew. And we have a huge tunneled block of Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday games,
right,
where the only off nights are those games that the Rangers are playing.
And it's nice because I looking ahead, I looked at week 23, that final week, and it's just like, again, trading for a D-man to me was the smarter move because a D-man is easier to just fit in naturally on those busy nights rather than trying to trade for JT Miller, trade for Mika, trade for Trocheck, who, by the way, Trocheck, Zibanejad, rumored to be traded. So it's just, again, don't hold me to that. Don't talk yourself out of trying to trade for some of these guys. But it's just, again, and this is, the last point I had kind of in this section. Some teams are going to get better, some worse. And the standings, are just really compressed. So, I mean, and Panarin, pending UFA. So, and there's a handful of teams he's rumored to go to. It's don't talk yourself out of these trades, but maybe don't. And this is, again, maybe we're doing the show a little too early, but it's good to have, the more knowledge you have, especially this far out, the better equipped all of you guys are.
I would even say too, like, look at goalies, right? Like right now, a huge, I remember I lost the league over it too. I just looked over and said, hey, look, there's 4 games. It's incredible. I'm going to trade for all these guys. Then I actually did what Alan mentioned and went into those weeks and started the guys. All my guys were on the bench because we all just so happened to be trading for guys that were all like stacked up on the same nights. Goalies as well. You can only start 2 at this time. I know a lot of leagues roster 3. We were even talking on Discord with some folks that had 4. You can carry 4 goalies. You absolutely can, but you have to make sure you can stack them so that it's 2, 2, 2, 2, and all that stuff, and you're getting like a gross glut of games or something. If you're just trading willy-nilly, you're going to end up with 4 goalies that are all playing on the same nights and empty slots on other nights. And that will lose you. That will lose you your playoff weeks. That will lose you your championship.
So, and again, like to the trade we were talking about earlier, Dustin Wolf, Calgary, most likely going to be a seller. So that team in front of him is only going to get worse. Like Rasmus Anderson, he's someone that there's a lot of chatter that he could be moved, hopefully by that February 4th, like roster freeze. Right. So that's a huge defensive piece moved out. Cadre moves that, centers are very important to, I know it's a forward, but the defensive structure in front of that goalie. It's the team in front of Wolf is only going to get better. And if you hold on to someone like that way too long, you're that monkey holding on to that fruit when you should have just let go a long time ago.
Right. And further to that, know the guy to pick up, right? Like Zane Parekh has already burned his ELC this year.
Yeah.
He is going.
Do we think, or do they just give it back to Uyghur without getting too far into the weeds as far as like how deployments change? I feel like the trade deadline action is its own show.
100%.
Spoiler alert.
100%. I was just saying more like know about the guy that is upcoming. That was another fantasy football crossover.
And there we go. Yeah, concept. And that's absolutely bad. Like we said, if you're that fringe guy who's trying to make it, even just that last place, make it to the dance, like this is where, okay, Uyghur is not going to be available, but like if
Zane
that
Parekh
quarterback
would be the next guy, he would be the next guy up.
To grab like a Zane Parekh, like it may not be the best team, but you're grabbing someone who's going to get that deployment bump based on a trade that just happened.
100%. And I think that part gets talked about so much less, Alan, and I'm glad we're mentioning it here, where we talk about the shiny toy that moves to a new environment, new stadium, new team, new locker room, new practice arena, new everything. And it's like, wow. The guy that gets to have the same enjoyed environment, but now has way opened up ice time is equally, if not, I would even say like better.
I would say that's better. Yeah. And that's something to remember too, is typically when that player that gets traded to that contender, his value takes a hit. It doesn't always improve. Sometimes there is an exception to that, but it is rare. It is rare.
And if anything, you're trying to imagine this guy that's going in with all the expectations in the world, and you're just going like, he's got to immediately step into this new role and perform. This man is still human. It's tough. I'm not saying you can't have Rantanins who just waltz into wherever they went, and it seemed like they did amazing off the bat, or Natchises who did the same. But the guys who had the opened up freedom, who have zero expectation, just playing out their minds, those are the guys where you definitely want those. Let's go to Vancouver for a second, Alan. Like I'm just giving follow up. Like Vancouver, they traded away all those guys that had no who came in. Like the guy that came in was
Z Boyum, who I think is already off of Power Play 1, by the way. Okay, not that we're getting we don't want to get too far into the weeds of
but again, we can still go into.
Hronik's been on like a nice little heater since that trade,
but he's also on Power Play 2. So who in the world is their Power Play 1 guy?
I forget his name.
Tom Willander.
Yeah,
or Tom Willander. I don't. But either way, it still backs what we're describing, right? Like this is a man who he would not have sniffed nothing close, and now is an incredible value. I would even say is incredible value add. Maybe depending on how the schedule plays out. Look for guys and gems like him. He is not the only guy in the league that has these sorts of opened up avenues and makeups. Look for those guys that have seeped in like mercury into the vacated slots from, I guess, the stars above. That's the goal.
Yeah, there you go. Anything else here? Or
let's roll.
We'll keep trucking. All right, love it. We're making great time. So now, the part that we're probably all here for, schedules weeks 21 to 23. So this is March 16th, April 5th. Best schedules. So yes, like I mentioned, top of the show, probably a lot of you have known for a while. New York Rangers, 12 games played, 7 off nights. And I think it's that semis, that week 22. So they have 4 games. I think that week 22 is 4 games, all off nights. Yeah, I think it's that week 23 final where it's like 4 games, 1 off night, and that Sunday is the off night. Boston and Pittsburgh. I think, me personally, I could be very wrong. I feel like Boston and Pittsburgh might be the better targets, or maybe more reliable targets. So Boston and Pittsburgh. Boston, 12 games played. Or I think they both Boston and Pittsburgh, 12 games played, 4 off nights. Boston is 4-4-4. Pittsburgh is 3 games, all on that Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And then they have a 5-game final, which is why I think I like Pittsburgh, especially if they keep in a playoff spot. Honorable mention.
I think Pittsburgh only has 3 on the
week 22.
I think.
Yes. And it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Yeah. So I think their week 22 isn't that great.
No, but they have a 5-game final. Week 23.
Oh, yeah. I hear you.
Yeah. So that's why I'm kind of leaning like for me, I know New York. Yeah. Yes, on paper they have the best, but I don't know. For me, I need more. Oh, I'm trying to think of the economic term. I need more certainty.
Okay. Okay. How about this one? I think Pittsburgh is the better one for the better target for any folks that are pretty guaranteed of their.
You think you have
first week?
That's what I was. No, honestly, that's what I was thinking too. For people that have like a first round bye, I kind of like Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh is incredible. Yeah.
And then honorable mention, man. I don't know. I think they're worth mentioning. Colorado, 11. It's 11 games played, 6 off nights. And then they have in the finals, they have 3 games, 2 off nights, and it's against some pretty juicy opponents. St. Louis, Vancouver, Dallas. And again, this is Colorado would probably be more a team you trade for rather than just stream from. And then worse schedules here. So we got Seattle, 9 games, no off nights. And then I really just looking at their opponents, it's a lot of games against guys like Tampa, Florida, Edmonton, Utah. So maybe not defensively. Do what?
No. I was saying, and it's not just tough teams. They would be teams playing for positioning, playing for the playoffs themselves, right? Yeah.
And teams that are going to get better.
Yes.
And I agree. Like Pittsburgh, it's another team that I need a little bit more certainty from. Absolutely. Right. But yeah, that's why, we're kind of doing the show maybe a little early, but this is good stuff to arm you with. Earlier the better.
And I would say too, like even if they were to be sellers, it would still indicate that Pittsburgh is a team to target. It would just indicate that maybe you could look specifically like waiver
stream from
or whatever. Yeah, stream that team in particular.
Maybe now Pittsburgh becomes a stream team in that final instead of a trade team.
And target some of those names where you already know they're going to get the open to vacancies, right? Like if you just off the top of my head, Alan, like that's a Ben Kindle, right? That's Ben Kindle's music to my ears.
Right. Or like trade for Sidney Crosby. Like, right. He's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere. Parker Witherspoon, right? We mentioned him earlier in the previous show, right?
Like maybe a stream. And it's just like, could you move Erik Karlsson's contract, right? And if you do, is that Chris Letang's music, right? Because could he be someone you just pick up or trade cheaply for?
For sure.
But there were schedules, and like I think I beat the drum on this a few times. Utah, one of them, 9 games, 2 off nights, so they could be good for your quarterfinals. So that week 21, they have 4 games played, but they have some tough opponents: Dallas, Vegas, Anaheim, LA. But then they have 3 games played in week 22, and Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday against Edmonton, Washington, LA. And then just 2 games played in that final. So that at that point, you could jettison pretty much any Utah guys you have. So they don't play till Thursday at Seattle and then Saturday at Vancouver. So it's, try to jettison those Utah players.
Which really makes that Keller trade. I don't know, Alan. Like, I think I'd probably get Marchenko at that point, no?
Yeah, especially if you're not kind of top of table, which I'm sure if you're listening to podcasts, you're probably toward top of table. Right. Edmonton, 90 teams played, all off nights. All of their games are Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And this is a moral quandary. And Jay, without getting us too far into the weeds. So this is, do we trade? Do we look to trade our guys like McDavid, McKinnon, Pasta, simply because their schedules might be bad, right? And try to get a haul on guys that like may have better schedules just to increase our games played. Like this is, I mean, McDavid, yeah, kind of a tough start to start the season, but he's been heating up. He's like he's, kind of him and McKinnon are back and forth between first and second for points. But I mean, do we trade McDavid just because he plays Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, the whole stretch? Or is he just a lock for all of those days?
To quote the University Health Center, no is a full sentence.
But yeah, this might be where I don't say, McDavid, Draisaitl, you probably don't trade him, but maybe you try to move out guys like Hyman, like Nuge.
A better question would be a guy like Bouchard. You know what I mean?
I'd say, well, maybe you trade a Bouchard, right?
That would be a fantastic question. Where Bouchard is exactly the kind of player that will, let's pull him up. Like he's got some crazy offensive rates, right? Like almost a point per game as a D-man, that's crazy. But if that sort of schedule holds, do you think he's on the cusp where it's like, like he's also a guy where I'm holding on no matter what? I don't know.
Yeah. And you're always going to be able to fit him in. Yeah. Maybe you don't trade him. I mean, maybe he's just one of those untouchables. And then it's just like you're looking at guys, again, like I said, like Nuge. Although, what could you get for Nuge realistically? You'd probably have to package him in something.
Wait, Hyman, no one's talked about Hyman, but Hyman's still also on like almost a point per game basis.
That's why he was such a good stash, dude. Right. I missed him in one draft, but I made sure I probably picked him up too early. I made sure to get him in a different draft.
In the other one. I love it. I love it. No, Alan, it's a full sentence. No, you do not. You hold on to it.
Cool. And then trade targets. So New York. Yeah. And this is where I think this is dependent on where they are in the playoff picture. Panarin, I mean, if they're in a playoff spot, he could in fact just be in what they call an own rental. They just hang on to him and then try to flip him. Keep your studs. I agree that there's some logic in there. I mean, is the package you could get for a McDavid, for a McKinnon worth, the extra games you get, right?
No,
I mean, a McKinnon could go off for like 2-3 points a night. And it's just like, what could you get that could, be worth the extra games played?
I would even say go the other way. Like package any of those guys that get extra games and like try to get the stud if there's some guy trying to 5D chess his way into it. Like get your studs.
Panarin is especially interesting, especially some of the teams I've heard him going to.
Imagine Panarin goes to the Oilers. Not that I think the contract could even happen. Like I don't think the numbers could work, but imagine.
And especially the way trades supposedly work now. Supposedly it's not like a prorated salary now. Apparently you take on the whole salary. It's weird. Panarin could be own rental if the Rangers are in the playoff picture somehow, and then he doesn't go anywhere, and then cool. But yeah, I've heard Miller probably stays. Fox probably stays. Trocheck is someone I've heard, especially with how just desperate the market is for centers. Trocheck absolutely could go somewhere, and I bet the Rangers could fetch like a pretty penny for him.
Are the Rangers? The Rangers are so vet heavy at this point that I guess I don't even know what their pick situation is, but.
Right.
Are they in pole position where like they would just still be maintaining a pick? Like I know, for example, Nashville was in a horrible situation where they said they were last season and also they had no picks. So like that.
Oh, there we go. That was I knew there was like another name. Patrick just pointed out. I've heard Zibanejad as a name that maybe they could and should trade, especially with the season he's having.
Right. Yeah.
I haven't heard. I don't think I've heard specific teams, but yeah, with how just I don't want to say log jammed. It's just how starved. There we go. Because think about what with how injury prone Norris is, that Buffalo still wanted to trade for Norris. Yeah,
Right.
there's absolutely a market for centers.
100%.
And people will, I'm sure we'll see it. But yeah, Patrick, I would say, yeah, you can't, or I would say, I was about to advise, like, don't trade. I would say it was fun for me, but I would say don't trade like based on speculative value. Like one of the teams I've heard Panarin talk about is Colorado. That would be insane if he went to Colorado. But at that point, it's just like, dang, man, like, how did they work him in? Right?
Too many
Because
chefs in the kitchen, you mean?
there's almost too many chefs in the kitchen at that point. But I absolutely think he could keep producing, especially Brock Nelson having himself a little bit of a season with a capital season or lowercase season. Yeah, he should absolutely. And I imagine at some point he gets looks with McKinnon, which could be just insane. And then if you did want to try to play a little bit of 4D chess, the Rangers is one of the teams that speculatively Tuck is rumored to go to.
Right.
I imagine he would get power play 1 at least going there. I don't know about line 1. Who knows? Although I feel like he should get top 6 time. Like top 6, probably power play 1. But yeah, if you want to play 4D chess that way, Boston, Pasta, he'll cost you probably $1.20 on the dollar to trade for him. Lindholm, I would check for him because I feel like he's sitting at around 30%. You may not have to trade for him. Maybe just be able to scoop him up and hoard him for the moment. Morgan Geekie, I know he even admitted in an interview recently that he has regressed. It's nice that they even know about their own analytics and stuff. But yeah,
do they play fantasy hockey, Alan? I don't know.
Right? They might, where it's
they draft themselves.
I need to throw 3 more hits and then I'll win my week. Yeah, probably one of the cheaper guys you could go after, Charlie McAvoy, probably another trade target there. And then Pittsburgh, I'd say anyone on that, if you want to try to trade now, I would say anyone on that Crosby, Raquel, Rust line, going to be locks for power play 1. But mostly this is a team that's going to be dependent on where they are in the playoff picture.
I'm not entirely sold on Pittsburgh being sellers, mainly in the idea that Pittsburgh is still currently in the position where they're in the playoffs. They're 2 points out of being second in the Met. Like everything about this team seems to me that they could continue to win and continue to stay relevant in that picture where they just I find it hard to fathom. Like I don't know that Pittsburgh has actively tanked in the entirety of Crosby's career. And I find
I don't think I think Crosby is too competitive himself to let them tank. They would have to cut his ice like drastically, like cut him down to like 12 minutes a night. Right. And I feel like that there would be economic repercussions for something like that.
I agree. So I know it's so funny because there was a statement where it was like, okay, everyone, it doesn't make sense for us to go analytics, and then afterwards go like, okay, but once we're eliminated, analytics tells us we got to lose every game, right? Like that part kind of slides for me.
Then it's just like, well, what can we do? Not to completely tank, but like, let's call some guys up from college. Like, let's get them some ice time. You see that in like the last couple weeks of the season. Let's see what these guys in the AHL, like that's where you would see guys in the day like Josh Hosang. I know I'm aging myself. But yeah, that's where you see like these random guys who pop off for like 3, 4, 5 points over the course of 2-3 games.
And they lure you in with like hook and tackle, and it's like this guy was a false horse this entire time. And but that's the one I wonder where. When you look at some of the names here, like Crosby, Rust, Raquel, Malkin, Letang, Carlson, like I'm not saying they couldn't sell them, but they'd have to sell a lot of them to get to the point where that team can comfortably drop so much in the standings. At which point I'm saying you might
You're in
as
the
well
mushy middle.
you almost want to go the other way and think, is there a guy we can just tack on? Like I'm pretty sure like management might just be going, is there a guy we can add that can kind of just topple us up the other way and like, make use of, Crosby's last competitive seasons? I'm just thinking on that angle instead.
They owe it to him, man. I know the cupboards are pretty bare there, have been for a while, but yeah, you owe it to him to try and make that team competitive.
I was even going to say, like, the East is really bad in terms of projecting which team is going to be the final seller. And that's why we're saying, even at Pittsburgh, we're so used to them being bottom, that at 51 points in a wild card spot, we're saying, yeah, this team should definitely look to them to be the seller. Alan, what about teams like, for example, the Sens, right? I know they locked up so many guys up already, but they are pretty comfortable at the bottom. They are like, would this team be a seller? I don't know. Like, this team would have interesting assets as well, right? If they were trying to make
right, because that's what I've even heard. Like, oh, Brady Kachuk could be on the move. I'm like, okay, sure, anyone could be on the move for the right price. I think the last couple seasons have really shown us that like people are open to trading stars, especially with the salary cap kind of inflating the way that they speculate it will.
Well, I'm even saying too, like, some of these guys are like, they seem locked in place, right? Like Timmy Stu, he's got he's 3 years into an 8-year deal. Like, it's like some of these guys might be in similar spots where they aren't going to have any incentive management wise to move these guys. It's just basically, well, let's make sure hopefully they don't get injured for the rest of the season, and then like, let's start afresh like October.
And that's what's tough is like, do you try to make these trades right now? I don't know. And again, this is why we're not putting the show out now to like say, hey, go run and trade for these guys right now. This is like sort of planting the seeds, like say, hey, these are things to think about now as people throw trade offers at you. As you kind of like maybe think about who's at the bottom of your roster to open up a trade spot, or not a trade spot, a streaming spot.
The one thing I would say as well is know your own league. And when I say know your own league, is that in redraft, I think 3 wins could be the difference between making the playoffs in top seed and missing out entirely. Like, it's a pretty compressed setup still, right? It's not the NHL where there's 82 game weeks functionally, right? So then there's a lot more flexibility in terms of who's in the top wild card and who is top seed. In your league, you punting a week or losing a week or winning a week or getting lucky on an extra week could be the difference between you making that first seed or you scrambling and fighting in that additional week. So know where you stand, and I guess like understand where you could play out in terms of having to fight or jostle for positioning. If you are going for a week 21 because you had, I guess you weren't at the top 2 seeds and you ended up needing to play, I would say know exactly which teams you are targeting, just as Alan mentioned, right? Like a Boston, right? But you could also have teams that you would not have good value long-term over the entirety of the week, but you could still kind of pencil in as, hey, this team might be a worthwhile consideration, such as a Calgary, who plays all off nights on week 21, right? Another team I think is Colorado, plays all off weeks in week 21, right? Like, they don't hold any value, Alan, all in all. You know what I mean? In terms of the entire playoff structure and schedule. But they would hold value if, like, I was in the unfortunate position where I needed to fight.
You need to play week 21,
play week 21, right? But so keep these names in mind where it's like, okay, so maybe Colorado, maybe Calgary. These are my break glass if in that moment I have to play. And then on the flip side, there are other teams where, like the Rangers, as we mentioned before, they are so valuable because they play all off nights. They're the only team that plays all off nights in week 22. And so you can even say, hey, look, this team could be crazy value because I can hold them. I can play amazingly. But what if you do them in advance and then it turns out you have to play week 21? You've loaded up on all these Rangers, and then you get bounced and you don't even need the Rangers because you're out and in Cancun.
Yeah, because let's see, they're week 21. Because, well, their schedule's not bad at week 21. Four
but
four
they have
games, 2 off nights.
3 heavy nights.
Oh, and Sunday's considered a heavy day in week 21.
Right. So it's a weird one where know your team and know where you stand in your standings and punt strategically, but also at this point in the season, you only have 6 weeks, 5 weeks left of regular season play.
Yeah.
Like you don't have that many puntable weeks left. Where you are feasibly now is realistically where you will be finishing come season's end. Where you are right now is probably almost going to be like the teams that you are likely to face now might honestly, like you could screenshot it and they'd probably be the same teams you're facing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's, like I said, a week or so ago, it's getting real late, real fast. And then just considering that week 18 is a month long and
I would even say, Alan,
like a week and a half.
I would even say like probably the best 2 weeks strategically as well to target would just be, if anything, check your own schedules and your seasons and stats, and then hyperlock into 21, 22, or 23. Not saying week 24 isn't valuable, just that getting to week 24 is in some ways you're planning to get to week 24. That is huge in itself.
You don't play it, man. You don't play week 24 if you only go to 23.
Oh, no. Yeah. I'm just talking about
what the heck?
I'm talking about the folks that do to the
what
double the double weeks.
Is that our cue to move on?
Let's go. Let's
move on. All right. So weeks 22 to 24. So this is the double week final that takes you all the way out to the rest of the season. If you play this far, Godspeed to you, man. I only did it one season and I hated it because it's pure luck. Because a lot of teams will rest their top guys. And then it's just like, well, shit, I only have my so many ads and I can't IR stash all these guys. What do you do? So Godspeed to you. So this is, and then I think the only way to get this in Yahoo, at least the only way to get this double week final is to play up to week 24. I think Fantrax will let you customize it, but we assume most people play Yahoo. Debate which you will, which one is better, but best schedules. And I kind of like this, man. San Jose, 14 games, 6 off nights. So it's 3 games, 4 games, 7 game final. One of the best final schedules here. Colorado, for a nice team to target. If you have a first round bye, they have 13 games played, 4 off nights. So that first week they have 3 games. It's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Then they have 4 games, 6 game final. St. Louis, another good team. If you get a first round bye, 13 games played, 5 off nights. So again, that first week is 3 games, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Then week 23, they have 4 games, all off nights. And then Seattle, or not Seattle, St. Louis would be another, good team to stream from for week 23 final. Anyway, and then they have a 6 game final. Wow. Squirrel. And then Seattle, one of the best final schedules besides San Jose, 13 games played, 3 off nights. So they don't have great weeks 22 and 23. It's all Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then they have a 7 game final. Worst schedules here. So we have Minnesota, 11 games played, 1 off night in all of that. So they're 3 and 5 game final. Edmonton, 11 games, 2 off nights. Weeks 22 and 23 are just 3 games played, and then a 5 game final. So trade targets. San Jose, man. What are we thinking? Just Celebrini, maybe Will Smith. Will Smith should be back by then. It sounds like he is starting to skate.
I think Askarov is probably the guy, like in terms of trade targets. Not trade targets, but yeah.
I mean, Askarov, you might be able to pick up right now.
Yes, that's what I was saying. Like I think Askarov.
But do you want their goalies? Do you want their goalies though?
They're winning so much that I'm shifting my tenor a little bit. Where, like, I mean, I think I dropped Askarov. Like it's one of those setups where, like, in shallower leagues like ours, where we have like only 10 teams or whatnot. Like, yeah, like you can play some more aggressive moves and plays. I would want the goalies of those stud winners, right? In the same way that Stuart Skinner, like now, like no matter what happens, like even on Edmonton, even on Pittsburgh, like you still want those guys to grab, I guess, like the dub. Aside from a couple of those guys, though, you're really fringing that Macklin Celebrini does amazing shit around that team because, like, 67 points.
He is the team, dude.
He is so
That's insane.
team, like,
he's like what 19, and he is what third, fourth in points. And this kid is insane, man.
But to give context, like the next highest scoring player on his team has 30 points. He has 67. Everyone else is less than half of him.
Right.
It is disgusting how much further he is than the rest of his team. And so adding everyone else is basically saying and hoping that they hope Macklin Celebrini includes them. But Macklin Celebrini is scoring more than everyone else. And he's assisting, like I think, and spreading it out so evenly that maybe it's not really even valuable to the same degree to be burning and trading and targeting other guys. Just
there we go. That's what I was about to suggest is like maybe this isn't a team we trade. Maybe this is
just the ad.
Hang back and we see who starts playing around him, like the one kid, the Chernobyl kid.
Yeah.
I butchered. I'm so sorry. Yeah, we just talked about him. Like someone just asked about him. I feel so bad. Like I just thought that was funny too.
Oh yeah. Chernobyl. There we go. Yeah.
Chernobyl kid.
Chernobyl. Yeah. The other one I was saying that's valuable would be Will Smith on the IR plus would be good stock. But I mean, preaching the choir here, 61% already owns.
Yeah, basically you would just want to pick up anyone around Celebrini. And this is, I wonder if this is someone. I don't know. Do they trade for someone to replace Klingberg? Do they trade Klingberg out? I mean, Orlov in spurts has shown that he can be okay on that power play.
And he's also shown spurts where he does nothing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, he has got the peripheral floor. But again, that's a pickup, not a trade target. Yeah, I would say, this is maybe not a team we trade for players from. This is maybe a team we just kind of hang back, see who ends up playing around Celebrini, and just kind of pick those guys up. So moving on to Colorado, I don't think anyone is going to part with McKinnon or Makar. Maybe in a keeper dynasty, you might be able to throw enough kitchen sinks at them that they trade for them. But I feel like you're probably what's the word I'm thinking of? You're probably hindering your own. You're probably hindering your own chances to win just to get one of those guys. You got to aim lower. Probably Natchez. Trade for a Natchez might be the only tradable guy. I don't know if it's worth trying to trade for Lehkonen or Nichushkin. Brock Nelson could be out on a lot of wires. He's center only. Actually, what is his ownership?
Yeah, I think the other guy would be Landeskog right now is 34% owned. Stick him on your IR plus and see what happens there too.
Oh yeah, Brock Nelson 76% owned. I mean, if he tapers off his ownership, I could see his ownership plummeting, being center only.
Yeah, like what Landeskog, grab him onto IR plus, and then I don't think Devon Taves is worth adding onto IR plus. No. This team is tough unless you have seriously, if Wedgwood stays and Blackwood stays out for a while, then maybe Trent Miner is the other value guy to try to.
Again, that'd be an ad over. I mean, you could probably try to buy low on Blackwood and hope that his health holds the rest of the season.
Yeah, I can see that one too. Yeah, but Colorado is also a hard team to target. Trade.
Yeah. It's obviously there are untouchables as far as trade targets, but then there's you might be able to wrestle some of these guys away from people. Yeah. Lewis, this is one that's you might have to wait a minute and see how trade deadline shakes out, but not wait too long. I mean, I've seen Falk and Kyrou in a lot of trade talk. Although Kairou's been just not good. To put it lightly on him. Rob Thomas, maybe the one trade target, but even he's been rumored. I'm starting to see him pop up in rumors. And I bet again, with how starved the market is for quality centers, it wouldn't surprise me if someone takes a swing at him and try to get him.
I don't know, man. Kairu's even playing on power play 2 now. Like, it is what a disappointing
Well,
season it has been. What
again,
a
St.
disappointment.
Louis is one of those teams that kind of tries to run two balanced power plays. So power play 2 doesn't mean anything in
in the context of the Blues, for sure, yeah.
Blues,
But yeah, this is a team to stream. This is not a team really for trade targets, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And just to rattle off some names that I'm seeing on free agency here, right? Like Buchnevich, like value in terms of a high schedule week.
I'm proud of him. He's really picked it up lately.
Yeah, Snuggerud as well. He's getting top deployment as well. I mean, aside from that, like Dylan Holloway is still an IR. Maybe Dylan Holloway is a good IR stash too, actually. But yeah, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, St. Louis, that would be a nice team to kind of stream from because they're not going to rest players, right?
Hofer, right? I think Hofer is another good.
I don't know, man. It depends on what they do with Binnington, right? So last up here we got Seattle. I don't know, man. Dunn. He's probably one of the couple guys, or maybe Montour should be back by then too. I think Dunn and Montour are probably like the only two guys that have real serious ownership. I don't know if you really want to trade for those guys. Yeah, and this is Seattle. I know they've been on a heater lately, but this may be another team that you might just want to hang back and see what shakes out with them. This may be a team to stream from. Yaden Schwartz, it sounds like, should be back soon. Be a nice scoring touch guy for that team. I don't know. I think McCann has been such a stud for me when he is healthy. I feel like he's someone that should just be kind of rostered full time, man.
Those last 4 words are so clutch, though. Like, those last 4 words,
like you've said since day one, like we've been doing this together, Jay. Like, availability is the best ability for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And like, he's one of the guys where he's so good, and then Seattle plays late as well. And then the day-to-day hits out, the out comes in, and you're like, dude, I had all these other guys that were like playing. Like, they already played their games, and I was hoping and holding you in. And then how could you do me dirty like this, Jared?
Yeah, but this is nice. This could be another team that, and maybe this is something that should have been in like another section. But yeah, this is, I mean, Seattle could be another team that's like right on the fringe. It's going to be playing meaningful hockey right up to the end. So this is maybe a team that you try to scoop up earlier.
And would we agree, Alan, that across the board, like weeks 22 to 24, I think the play here is to hold tight, try to get your early wins through, but afterwards, like, it really does seem like for week 24, streaming options for value are aplenty. So maybe just load up hard trade target wise for the weeks 21, 22, and 23, depending on which league you need. But then afterwards, week 24, look at the names that we're describing out here. Like, Colorado doesn't have many streamable targets for sure, but San Jose, Seattle, and San Jose, like all those guys, it's funny, they're all S's as well. So I guess
I know that's what's making me say the wrong, because even STL you could say is Seattle, and I'm like, no, that's not it.
Right. But these are all, like, if you want to use, like, I guess, like video game quotes, these are S tier waiver wire targets, and they're all, I guess, they're all S's. They're all coalesced. They're all week 24. Don't worry if you don't have the most optimized core setup lineup. Week 24 has so many addable, waiver wireable targets on teams that play so much that you can go in safely knowing that you can have like a pretty schedule and setup just on the wire from these teams available.
Another nice reason to do fan tracks was I know in those double weeks they reset. At least in my experience, they reset the ads at the beginning of that second week.
That's probably like for listeners.
Yahoo is just like, what? No, what are you talking about? No, you cannot have some more. Like, no.
Make with the little pinky standing up at the end. Yeah. Oh, it's incredible. But yeah, great tip actually, Alan, too, for listeners. Yeah, like if you are playing on Fantrax, double check to see. I think the commish can probably set it up so that it
doesn't. Or even, a great time to test it is during the Olympic break, because I'm pretty sure Four Nations was when I made a lot of like sneaky kind of moves, because I noticed that like, oh, Hey, reset.
Monday.
Like,
Yeah,
let
it'd
me.
reset. Yeah, 100%.
That's when I
You're just-
used a lot of those ads to kind of get my roster in line for when games resumed again.
Yeah, so I guess that's the other tip that's even not just for playoff primers, but generally speaking, right? Check to see if it's a hard set locked first Monday of the week at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. or whenever it is, and then they all reset. In which case, boom, like Bob's your uncle, world's your oyster. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I think that's probably about it, man. We're right around an hour. We want to go ahead and take it in.
Let's do it.
Cool. Yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. A little bit of a longer day for both of us here, going from Zit Start to this. We'll be back tomorrow with the week 15 script, although I guess this is meant to be a standalone episode. Hopefully this was useful to someone out there. But again, if your playoff format doesn't fit with one of the two we went over, feel free to ping us, hop in the Discord, man. Everyone there is real nice. They don't bite. They'll help you out. Good luck, man. We'd love to hear about your victory stories.
Oh, hell yeah. We'll pick y'all later.
Adios, turd nuggets.